The only mistake here is Porro. That took too much time to get back into his position, but it's also harsh on him as the situation went on very fast. Kuti was one in the right position, making the central man. Sarr wasn't marking anyone here. Kuti has zero blame.
So he's saying Kuti was marking, I don't know who that is, in this, because I guess Sarr is wrong side of him. So what is he saying? Sarr, either Porro tucks in, or Sarr should have been goal side, should have dropped in on Vardy potentially. I think there just should be better communication here, because Fatawu picks up the ball. He's taken a few touches. The problem I have with Romero here is he doesn't even seem aware that Vardy's behind him. And if he can just scream at Sarr to get goal side of him and then go and drop a couple of steps to Vardy, that would probably be the best course of action, I would say. The problem with Porro here is, in terms of him tucking in, you could argue he could tuck in, but I do believe if you see the wider picture, there's a player behind Porro as well. So I think he's probably a bit looking at him. But I'm just annoyed by the organisation. It just seems completely unorganised. And how can... There's two defenders there, Sarr and Romero, and they just leave Vardy completely free. Someone has got to be picking him up, and that's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, as Romero's a senior centre-back, he's got to be taking responsibility.
He's got to be marshalling that back line, 100%. 100%.
So,
and there's no communication, there's no leadership.
Even if you're arguing Kuti's in the right position, you can't say he takes zero blame. I'm sorry.
He's got to take responsibility.
He's the centre, but he's the...
I completely get what you're saying. You know, Porro and Sarr definitely come into this as well, but I think the main culprit here is Kuti, in my opinion.
Like, he's our general at the back. If we're unorganised, he takes blame for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he has to.
No context. Tottenham. This tweet saying 57th minute. It's wave after wave from Tottenham here. Bentancur is the latest to see a shot saved by the Leicester goalkeeper. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And then a minute later. Oh, it's just classic Spurs, isn't it? It was so classic. Just while we're on top, just as we look like we're going to go for the throat, we go and concede a goal.
Literally, I walked out the stadium yesterday, and the first thing I said was, "How Spursy was that?"
Yeah, literally, and that's they all. I swear these like live updates always bait us. They always like test. They always try and test the footballing gods.
But you know, like we're never going to get rid of this tag until these things stop happening.
Yeah.
And that's the reality.
That always grasping defeat from the jaws of victory. Tottenham Hotspur, classic.
Touchline. Tobes says, I wasn't joking. Start Odebear versus Everton at right wing. Keep Son and Solanke in the same positions. See how that goes. If I'm Ange, I'd also experiment a 4-4-2 diamond in some games this season, considering how much of centre mids and 10s we have and the lack of a strong winger. Would you start Odebear against Everton?
Would I start Odebear? I would... I think we need to find a way of getting Decky in. I don't know. And is it on the right-hand side if he's not going to play him in the centre?
Why not Decky in the 8?
I would, but he doesn't want to do that. He would have done it against Leicester if he wanted to do that.
But he doesn't want to do it on the right wing either.
I think he's more willing to play him on the right than he is next to Maddison, I think. That's what it seems.
I think
he played him on the right at the end of the game.
I think against Everton, you know exactly the way that they're going to set up a Sean Dyche team. You know exactly what's going to happen in that game, and I think he got to start Decky in the 8. Decky or Bergal, one of the two.
I'd be very... I mean, are we throwing Odebear into the deep end? Is he ready for it? Maybe he is to come straight in.
Well, he played whole season of Premier League football last season.
Yeah, I know, but you know, he has to get used to how we play and all that kind of stuff. Is he ready for a start? I doubt he starts it.
I want to see Odebear's impact sub, because I think he can be a really good impact sub.
I reckon he'll be on the bench, but who does start on the right is I'm definitely up for discussion. But I don't think Odebear will
I think it will be Brennan still.
Yeah, probably.
4-4-2 diamond.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting thought. I mean, play like? Let's say you play like a Bentancur on the 6. You play like...
Well, Bentancur won't play this weekend, I don't think.
Not this weekend, I'm saying in general, if you're playing a diamond, or even like a grey, and then you got like Bergval, you got maybe Maddison at the top of the diamond, maybe you got like a Bergval, Sarr, and Bentancur in that diamond. I mean, that could work, but it's obviously going to be very narrow. That would rely very heavily on...
And Son and Solanke up front.
Son and Solanke up front. Get Son a bit more central, but you're heavily relying on Porro and Udogie to dominate those wide areas. I don't know if Porro... I reckon Udogie might be able to, but I'm not sure about Porro. If he can do that whole side, like I don't know, it might be a bit much for him.
You will have Sarr there to help him out.
You have Sarr, you have Bergval.
You play Sarr on the right of the diamond.
Also, but that completely goes against like how Ange plays. Like, there's like no width at all in the attack.
Yeah.
So we go from the most wide attack probably in the whole league to the narrowest attack. I mean,
But in terms of having width there, you have Udogie and Porro for the width, and I think that's when Porro is probably at his most dangerous, getting good crosses into the box.
Unless you're saying in possession, maybe like Bentancur drops into the back three, and then you allow Porro and Udogie to get forward. Maybe that's how.
Either way, I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, no, I find it highly unlikely.
Lily White Rose says, not many of us would swap any of Porro, Romero, Van de Ven or Udogie, but we see this time and time again. And I was actually saying this at the game yesterday. It's like, you would not transfer out any of these defenders. Like, they're all top defenders in their own right. Udogie, probably in the top, 2 left backs in the Premier League right now. Porro, one of the most goal contributions from a right back in the Premier League. Romero, World Cup winner. Van de Ven, everyone's been waxing lyrical about him. Yeah, it's just time and time again. We just see this garbage.
As I've said, like, they're actually, as I've said, I actually think our defending is very good. But our defending is very good when we're not defending. Our defending is very good. Our defending is very good when we're going forward and we're penning the team in and we're preventing the opposition.
But why are they not good when we're defending?
Because I feel like, I don't know, it's a difficult question to answer. When we're
You're actually a good defender when you're not defending.
Huh? Yeah, we are. They actually defend really well. It sounds funny to say, but I really believe that. When we're on the front foot and we're penning the other team in, we defend really well, preventing the other team like gaining a foothold in the game. But once they do have a foothold and once they've gained a bit of territory and they're getting in on our back line and we need to be compact, we're all over the place. And when we have to defend properly, we seem so disorganised. We let runners go all the time. No one's marking anyone. Like, no one's taking responsibility for anything. No one's shouting, pick him up, pick him up. It just seems to be so haphazard. But when we're in the other phase of the game, we're actually really good at just penning teams in and, you know, forcing them long, preventing them from actually getting in on our goal. And so that is also defending in a way, but it's a different type of defending in a different phase of game. But in this kind of phase, we're terrible. We're absolutely atrocious, and I'm kind of lost at the moment. Like, what the plan is for Ange? Is it just to not have? Is the plan to not be in these phases enough that we can see that many goals, or is it that, or is the plan to be a lot more organised in the back? I just don't know.
I cannot sit here and believe that the plan is to not be organised at the back and to throw this up.
It's not to not be organised, but is it like, does he not put an emphasis on that?
He has to. I can't believe that he doesn't. Like, this is ridiculous. Otherwise, unless it's like a part of a process thing where he wants to get the attacking play down to a T and then he's going to start working on the defence. I don't know, but there has to be a plan of working on this defensive structure. There has to be.
Well, I mean, he's had a year and it's still the same.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's the first game. Maybe it'll improve. But
you gotta say though, like, take Arsenal for an example. Like, how long did they take to get into a proper defensive structure? It took them a long time.
Yeah, you could argue that.
Like, how long?
And I do like
3 years.
And I do like our structure when we're in control of the game. Our defense structure is actually really good. Even if for example, even last season, like say the Arsenal game, I know we conceded goals from set pieces, but when we were on top of them and we were penning them in, they really struggled to get out. And then they got a few set pieces and they scored. But that structure of when we're penning a team in and we're suffocating them, we're really good at that. But but once we let that control slip, then all of a sudden we're in trouble.
It's all very well being good at that though, but you got to put the ball in the back of the net to make it count.
That's the thing. So I think the plan is for a game like yesterday is probably to win it 4-5-1, and no one would care about that one goal we concede, but we didn't put the ball in the net, and that's where the problem comes.
Raj Chauhan says, Leicester have barely had any territory, but still could have had 4 goals in this second half. Ange's rest defence principles just don't feel compact enough. So many of their players are focused on what the overloads they can create rather than sensing what could happen behind them.
That's pretty much what I've been saying.
Yeah.
Like, the rest defence, like, it doesn't seem to be compact at all. It doesn't seem to be organised. It seems as though as soon as we get into a rest defence, the opposition find it way too easy to create chances. And the only time they don't is when we're penning them in, and we have control of the game, and that is a problem. And unless we're gonna win every game 4-1 or 5-2 or whatever, unless we're scoring loads of goals, then it feels like we're always gonna concede these chances. That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like everyone's focusing on these chances we can, like at these times we concede these silly goals, and even we focus on these silly goals we concede, and I'm worried that that's never going to stop. Like, I don't know if the plan is to make it is.
There has to be a process involved where this ends up being worked on. There has to be. I don't know if
the plan is we're going to stop conceding these silly goals, or the plan is we're just going to score 4 a game.
But this has happened under various different managers. I know the Premier League is a different kettle of fish, but this also happened in the first year at Celtic, and then the goals conceded definitely dried up a lot in that second half. They also scored like 100
goals.
Yeah, 100%. But they conceded a lot less in the second half, in the second season than they did the first season.
Yeah, and let's hope we do that as well. Yeah, but I think you will concede less if you have phases of the game where you're in control more, right? You'll concede less because you're giving the opposition less. So I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if the plan is to have control more or to shore up the defence, if you know what I mean.
It has to be both. It has to be both. It has to be have as much control as you want, but in the moments which are obviously going to come in most games in the Premier League with the quality of opposition that we're going to come up against, we're going to concede control in games, in very many games. But you have to shore up the defence in those moments.
I understand that, but I don't know if is the plan to be like 3-0 up by then, if you know what I mean.
I think in the Premier League that can't be a plan.
And if it is, then he's naive. But I don't know if that is. I kind of feel like in his previous jobs that might have been the plan. Like you don't care if you concede that one goal from that little chance you give to the opposition because we're already outside.
I don't think he's stupid, Ange. And
I'm not saying he's stupid.
I think a plan like that is a bit stupid, especially in a league like the Premier League. And I think he knows.
But he would argue it might have worked other places.
Yeah, but I think he knows that the Premier League is a much different, ball game to all the other leagues that he's managed in. I think he has spoken about that before in certain press conferences, saying this is the Premier League. The level of opposition is really fierce. So I believe he will end up getting this right, and he will end up working on this. But I still feel we're in a process, and we're in a regeneration process, and I think we will get there at some point. Maybe we think we should be further ahead in this process than we are right now.
Hopefully. I'm just looking at how we defend these situations, and I haven't seen much change. So I don't know if he's been emphasising it, but that's what I'm saying. Stephen
Power says this is Spurs' performance in the second half. Quite accurate, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much. Shut the bed. We're going to go, we're going to get a second goal. No. Shut the bed.
Talking to HSC says, make no mistake about it, that is a terrible, terrible result with Spurs, regardless of which game week it may be. Leicester offered nothing and came away with something, hardly to see any glimmer of improvement from last year. Look, what I would say to that is that I agree to a certain extent, but it's important not to throw your toys out of the pram first game of the season. There's a long, long season ahead, and anything is still achievable at this point.
I agree with everything apart from hard to see any glimmer of improvement. I don't agree with that. I think Singh Solanke did show improvement, in my opinion, in the final third, and we did show improvement in keeping the ball and having that ability to create opportunities in the penalty area a bit better. And I think we're going to reap the benefits of that during the season. So I agree with that tweet apart from that last line.
This next tweet is the most truest tweet I've ever bloody seen. It's brilliant. JLA says, Tottenham are the only team who have the ability to look like 2009 Barcelona 1 minute and then 2008 Derby County the next.
And that is literally what it was for that. Like, we conceded and then bam, we're like under the cosh and we're conceding chances for fun. And look at that before, it's like we were creating chances for fun. It was all Tottenham up until that one moment. Then literally it flips on the dime, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's madness.
Oh, God. Tottenham Hotspur, what do you do to us, man? Luca THFC says, my head was on Mars.
And this did actually really annoy me when Son miscontrolled this. Like, I tell you why it annoyed me. It wasn't because he did it at that specific moment. It's because it's something he's been doing a lot recently in really good positions. And this similar position, as soon as he gets the ball, for some reason, like, that should be a really simple control for a player of Son's quality. And he did that a few times against Bayern Munich as well in both games. So I don't know what's going on with him.
I tell you what with Sonny, though. Time and time again, we've been in this position with Sonny, where doubt starts to creep in with certain people in the fan base. he always turns it around and he always answers those critics sooner rather than later. I'm not saying
doubting
you are, but I'm saying people are.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying that specific thing has happened about 3 times in the last 3 games, and it's a bit annoying. I don't know.
And
why
at some point,
doing
it's going to click, and he's going to get it right, and we're going to see loads of goal contributions from him.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But as Sonny in form, he takes one touch and bang, gets a shot away there.
Yeah. Shan THFC says, peak Spurs when this is our manager on the first day of the season and Twitter is in meltdown.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to be sick at the end of that game when Richarlison missed that chance, obviously.
Red County says, Spurs genius set piece versus Leicester.
Yeah, this was not our proudest set piece, I think. When a set piece ends up,
I was absolutely screaming at this point. I promise you, oh my God, I was absolutely screaming. We went from a corner to back to the keeper, and there was no need for it. There was no need for it whatsoever because there was so many passes on that Sarr had.
And actually, we were looking quite good when we were swinging it straight in as well. So there's no need to even play it short.
It's so frustrating. There was so many passes on Sarr could have done instead of go back to the keeper. Anyway, Hotspur Report says, what's your feeling towards Vicario shouting at 18-year-old Lucas Bergal after his mistake leading to a chance versus Leicester?
Yeah, as I say, I wasn't a massive fan of it. You know, he's a new kid on his debut, and I do kind of get like, just because he's 18, just because he's young and it's his debut, you got to be up for the harsh realities of the Premier League, and maybe Vicario was showing him a bit of that. But I also feel like Bergal was put under a lot of pressure with that pass. He wasn't given any options. He probably could have done a bit better with that situation, and it did nearly cost us. But look, he knows he made a mistake. He knows he shouldn't be giving the ball away in that position. He doesn't need to be screamed at by Vicario, but I guess he at the moment.
Look, Vicario's Italian fiery character.
He's an emotional guy.
Very emotional guy, and I feel like I get what you're saying, and I do agree with it to a certain extent, that he shouldn't be lambasting Bergal at that moment in time. But Bergal did make an error, albeit he was put under pressure by his teammates. But I also feel like no matter how old you are, no matter what game it is, if you're playing in the Premier League and you make a mistake, you should be open to that kind of criticism as well.
Of course, yeah. And look, I understand that as well.
And also, I feel like Bergal has the mentality where he can overcome that as well.
I'm sure. I just thought it was a bit over the top.
It was over the top.
There wasn't really a need for it.
Yeah. THFC Sue says it didn't make me feel better. He went and smashed Leicester 86-0, probably on amateur mode after the game.
I'm not surprised. It doesn't give us 3 points. That's the main thing.
United Spurs of America says you sat next to Archie Gray, perks,
well,
and
here it is.
That's Stephen showing me on TV last night, and there he says, there he is, Yido.
This was Ben on Sky live on Sky Sports. It's like they zoomed in on you when they spot a celebrity in the crowd. They're like, oh look, Ben's here at the game, unbelievable. And
basically the next number
these are just
of
different shots of you looking variously angry and passionate and different stages of being a Spurs fan, I would say.
All in the space of 20 seconds.
All right, so we got an exclusive here. What was going on while you were on screen? What was happening?
Bentancur was down injured.
Yeah. So what were you? So there's a few theories. Were you giving it to Vardy? Were you chanting? People want to know what was going on when you.
In that moment in time, I started the Bentancur song that went around the whole away end. That's exactly what happened in those 20 seconds, and it literally went around the whole away and started singing it off my chant. So it was a great moment, to be honest. Not a great moment that Bentancur's down, but gotta love starting a chant in the away end.
Of course. Well, you're never going to get rid of that buzz of starting a chant in the away end.
Exactly.
So there you go. If you're wondering what Ben was chanting, he was chanting, I'm guessing he's the reason.
Yeah, he's the reason.
Bentancur.
Yeah.
So there you go. But I'm sure you were giving it to Vardy a bit before that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
a little bit. Because Vardy pointed at someone in the crowd, and what was it?
He was pointing at the whole away end because the whole away end was singing, "Jamie Vardy, your wife is a grass."
All right. I see. So it wasn't pointing at you specifically.
Not me specifically, but yeah, maybe better than some other songs we've directed at Jamie Vardy in the past.
And you were on all the channels. Obviously, the broadcast goes.
Yeah, it must have been the same broadcast.
So
going on
everyone
every
in the
channel.
US and anyone saw Ben for about 20
The
seconds.
amount of messages, my phone absolutely blew up. Because the guys next to me, their phone started blowing up, and I had that phone in my pocket the whole game. I didn't look at it because I had a different phone in my hand doing the recording. And I looked at my phone, and my phone was literally just non-stop going, getting WhatsApp messages, Instagram notifications, and then you told me to check Twitter, and Twitter was going absolutely mad as well. So everyone that watched this game, because usually when a fan pops up, it just like breezes past them for a second.
Yeah.
But this one, like I was on it for like 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah,
so.
proper lingered on you, which was quite funny.
Yeah, and then I watched your reaction on the watch along as well when I showed up as well.
I was just shocked. I just couldn't believe because I was all depressed. I bent and was like, "Oh, what? Shit, Ben's on screen. What the hell?" So that was some people saying it was a highlight of the game.
Yeah, probably was, to be fair. Tip Top Tottenham says this is part of the match they showed you on TV. Copy Ben, and
that was in response to. And people are wondering when Sky Sports are going to give you their appearance fee.
yeah, pay up, Sky. Come on.
20 seconds that was. I'm sure the viewership shot up for those 20 seconds.
Come on. Everyone's scrolling back and rewatching it and sending their screenshots and sending it on there. Definitely, That's definitely the most watched
free
moment
marketing.
in the game.
There you go. Free promotion for Sky Sports right here.
Maybe free promotion for We Are Tottenham TV as well. Let's move on. The Spurs Watch says Pedro Porro has 7 goals since the 22-23 PL season. No other defender has more, and we touched on that, didn't we, in the takeaways, I think it was. And it's very impressive in a league that Trent Alexander-Arnold is in.
Yeah, and a league with a lot of attacking a lot of defenders who like to attack, and he's Porro. The fact he's got most goals is really impressive, and he's got a really good catalogue of goals as well. It's just in terms of really good strikes, that adds to it with a really nice header this time, but. It shows how good he is when he gets forward.
LA Baller says, 1 trip to Korea and now casually on national TV.
That's how it is for these celebrities, these A-listers.
Paddy Power says, when you realise you have to do this 37 more times this season.
I think we are all big, oh God. Probably more with Europa League as well.
Yeah, well, and cups.
And cups.
Assist Sports saying they just clipped up your reaction to the goal yesterday on the watch along.
Big up, yeah. I don't know who these guys are, but
they loved your reaction. That's what it was. Apollo says the goats. I'm not sure who he's
talking about you being on screen.
Oh right,
the goats. Big up to Apollo.
It should be the goat.
I see, like that, like that. None of that.
And we'll just finish off actually this really nice message from Ben Haynes on Oliver Skip, which I thought was really good, saying a couple of years back ahead of the North London derby, Milesy and I were pitch side with Ole Skip while he was recovering from injury at the time. He had got the tube to the game just so that he could walk down Seven Sisters along the high road to soak up every bit of the atmosphere as a Spurs fan. In the media, on social media, as fans, we always ask for players to get what it means to play for the club we all support. Skippy is not only a literal embodiment of that, but also a total professional and a brilliant guy alongside it. Hope you smash it at Leicester, Skippy, and see you soon. And that is a really nice message to Skippy, and obviously it's something I never really knew that he did, walking down Seven Sisters on a North London derby day. And you know what, walking down Seven Sisters on a North London derby day can spring up a lot of different surprises where you're at certain points. So credit to him for doing that to soak up the atmosphere. And on his parting message, he did say, because we know he's a Spurs boy, he's been a Spurs boy his whole life, he said he will be back as a fan one day, and that just shows you what Ole Skip is. Yeah,
and that just makes me just even more sad that it never really worked out for him and wasn't able to kind of make it, as a proper first team player at Tottenham in terms of, proper important player, albeit did actually surprisingly make over 100 appearances for Tottenham, which took me by surprise when I read that. But I really thought, he was going to be a player in a mainstay in the team. Didn't quite happen for him, but you never know what can happen in the future. If he kills it at Leicester and we need a midfielder down the line, I wouldn't be surprised if we revisit him. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe,
Who knows?
maybe.
Why not? If he shows to be the player that we all thought he would be, then why not revisit this?
I think maybe if we had like a Conte, Nuno, not Nuno, but a Conte or a Mourinho style manager with that kind of pragmatic football, but I can't see it in an attacking system.
I'm saying if he shows he could do a bit more on the ball,
Yeah, maybe.
You never know.
Maybe. But he'll definitely be back as a fan one day, and I look forward to being alongside Ole Skippy in an away end one day.
One day we might need some homegrown players.
We need that now, and we got rid of him.
Yeah, but if he shows it, look, I wouldn't. I'm just saying, you never know what happens in the future. Football's a funny game.
It's a funny old game, as they say. So, yeah, that is the way the internet did react to the game yesterday.